I met a Prabhu whose ambition was to feel and to see and experience God, and that's his ambition in life. And I thought, wow, that's very, 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 very beautiful. So can we not see God already? We can chant his name. We can call out his name when we need help. We can see him in the mandir and go up to the altar and see God. We can read about him in the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. But what does it mean? What does it really, really mean to feel, to see, to hear God? And this is what I want to discuss in this short series of videos. How we can discover what we already feel, and also what we can't feel that we already should be able to feel if we weren't so covered. And I'll explain a little more in a moment what that really, really, really means. Firstly, each of us are individual, and therefore what I see and what you see can be very, very different. You see, I can look up at the sky now, and the sky today is cloudy. Now, if you've ever done it yourself before, we can look up the clouds, and sometimes you see things in the clouds. You see shapes. Sometimes you might see an animal or some other creature or something from your imagination that you, for a moment or two, whilst the clouds are stationary in that particular moment in time, you can see something. But sometimes some other people can't see what you can see. And this can be the same thing with God. You see, some of us are more able, some of us are more ready, some of us have become more purified, and therefore we have more ability to see God than others. I'm not too sure myself what it is to see or to feel or to hear God myself. But what I do know is that I see certain signposts that come up which indicate that God has arranged certain things at certain moments in time. And that's very, 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 very beautiful. So today we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading the first canto, chapter 6, and we're at verse 20. And it's an important verse because Narada Muni has become very, very, very purified. He's dedicated his whole life to devotional service to the Lord. And the Lord has given him an opportunity, I should say, in life to actually converse with him, which means there's an opportunity to have some very intimate and personal conversations, which us neophytes can't do yet. And we have to accept that. That's something that's part of life. We can't always have what others have. And we live in a society where we do. And this is what I want to explain in the next video of desiring something more than what we're able to do at this moment in time. In the last video, sometimes we desire to have things because other people can do things. I know, for instance, that in this mandir there are various sannyasis, very, very experienced brahmacharis who've been here for 20, 30 odd years, who have a different connection with the Lord than I do. Do they have something greater than I have? It's not matter of being greater, they just have a different ability. It's just like, for instance, when I was at school, I studied basic maths, but I haven't been to college or university and studied advanced mathematics. So I learnt some basics, but I can't say that I can do all the massive formulas. And even when I did learn the basic mathematics, I really didn't understand all the trigonometry, all the algebra, and all the other aspects of mathematics. But there are some who are very, very fluent at it, and they are able to look at numbers in a very, very different light. And it's no different to God. Some of us have a certain ability. Now, where does that ability come from? That ability comes from, number one, our past. Our lives, as we discussed in other videos, are part of a continuum. We're eternal. And therefore, when we move from one body to the next body, we bring certain skills and awarenesses and certain memories of the past with us. And therefore, that is why some of us have certain skills in this life more than other skills, because we brought them from our past life. And it's the same thing with our spiritual life as well. So from our past life, we bring a certain aspect of our spiritual world with us as well. And when that comes with us, it means that we, when we start this life in this human body, start from a different vantage point to someone else. Not advantage, but a vantage point. Two very different things. It's not about me being better or more advantage than another person. It's the fact of we each have had different life experiences, and therefore having different life experiences in our past life and in this current life means that we can see and do things slightly differently. And it's no difference to an artist. An artist can pick up a paintbrush. There are some people who have to paint by numbers. I don't know if you ever did that when you were a kid. You go from one number to the next number and a picture gets drawn. Other artists can pick up a paintbrush and literally paint with their eyes closed and create the most amazing creation. So some of us have a more innate, natural way of doing things, and some of us don't. Some of us need a lot of guidance. And this is the key thing. If we're around good association with good spiritual masters, then we get this opportunity to go that little bit deeper in respect to what we can experience of feeling God. And this is what I want to explain in the next video. Explaining in the last video, if we surround ourselves with the right people, as in the right association, the right acharyas, i.e. the teachers, the right sannyasis, the more pure souls, then we get to experience certain things in a more heightened and more vivid way. You see, we have huge potential to learn, but living in this material world in Kali Yuga, our senses are very numb and our intelligence is very numb. And therefore, we perceive things somewhat differently to what actually is real. It's like some people will go into the temple and say, oh, I can see Lord Krishna on the altar in this most beautiful stone, dressed in these beautiful clothes. But there's a difference between seeing the Lord in stone and actually seeing his effulgence, or hearing him talking to you, or him hearing you, or him seeing you. There are different experiences. Sometimes we just desire, and sometimes we overthink, and sometimes Maya, Devi, she confuses us as to what we do really see, we hear, what we feel. And it's very interesting. So sometimes we are a bit under the world of, let's say, illusion, Maya's favourite characteristic, illusion. And we think we see certain things. Sometimes we desire certain things. I want to see the Lord, I want to hear the Lord, I want to feel the Lord. But what we have to understand is in life, things come to us when we are more patient and when we are ready by the Lord's arrangement. And this is absolutely key. And this is what happened with Narada Muni. He didn't have this ambition only to feel God and to experience God. He had this ambition to serve the Lord. And when we have this ambition to serve the Lord, then we start to go through a much more heightened state of purification, decontamination and detoxification. And the more purer we become, the more we become in touch with the Lord. So, not everyone is aware, but some of you will be aware that the Lord actually already resides inside us. Yes, he's inside us already, each one of us. And this is what I'm going to explain in a bit more detail in the next video. We're going to discuss where he resides in us and how we can deepen that relationship with the Lord. Coming up in the next video. Hare Krishna. As I was saying before, the Lord is already inside us. What does that mean? For some of you may not be aware, others, yes, you've got a good idea what that really means. So, our life is centered around our heart, and inside our heart we have our soul. Our soul is what we call it Atma. And our soul is what drives the body. So, without a driver of a car, the car can't go anywhere. Without an operator of the computer can't do anything. So someone has to give it instructions, and that's our soul. But as I was saying to you before, our senses are very numb, our intelligence is very numb in comparison to our full potential. And therefore we also need guides and we need teachers. And this is where the Lord plays a major role with us, with our soul. Because next to our Atma, our soul in our heart, is our Param Atma, and that is where our super soul is. And that is where the Lord resides inside our heart. And it's a beautiful awareness to have. And being aware that our Atma needs guidance, it needs support, it needs a helping hand, it means we can be very progressive. But how do we serve the Lord who's sitting inside us in such a progressive way? Well, because the Lord is inside our heart, in our Paratma, it means that he hears everything that we hear, he sees everything that we see, he smells and tastes and feels everything that we feel, he knows everything that we think, he's aware of every aspect of what goes on in our lives. And the more we are aware of this, the more we feed the Lord with love, just out of pure gratitude, pure love to serve the Lord. What happens is our covered Paratma and our heart starts to become more revealed. Now, what do I mean by that? If you look up at the sky now and you see some clouds in the sky, for instance, this is being called covered. So you can't necessarily see the sun when the clouds cover the sun. But neither can you see the blue sky. However, this is only a temporary state, because you also know that these clouds drift by. And when the clouds drift by, the sun is revealed again. But behind the clouds, the sun is still glowing. It's got its full heat, it's got its full energy. But we just temporarily can't see the sun. We can't see everything that's going on behind the clouds. And this is what I'm going to explain about the Lord in our Paratma being covered in the next video coming up. It's like the clouds, the Lord is covered. It's covered because we live in the material world, and therefore we get dirty. Sorry to say it, but yes, our minds get dirty, our minds get toxified, our minds get contaminated, and our become very, very impure. And so does our physical body. Therefore, rather than it being pure and clear, inside and outside, it's very gritty and dirty because of life experiences. It's grimy inside there. But what happens is, when we start to become devotional to the Lord, say for instance by chanting his name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We start to read his name by reading, say, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, or Srimad Bhagavatam as translated by Srila Prabhupada. These sort of processes start to decontaminate us. And when it starts to decontaminate us, then these heavy coverings start to loosen and loosen. What do I mean by that? As I've used this analogy before, and I'll use it again. Our body is full of grime. It's very, very, very dirty. And therefore, if we were to pour some of the liquids out of our body into glass, it would be very greeny and grimy and dirty. Okay? Now, whilst all those liquids are inside us, we can't really see through it. It's dark and grimy. But the moment we start to add some clear water to it, slowly but surely it gets a little bit clearer and it gets a little bit clearer. Now this is what happens when we start to chant the Maha Mantra, or we start to read about the Lord. And there's other ways to serve him as well, by the way. All of a sudden it causes like a chemical reaction. The frequency starts to change what is going on inside our body, and it starts to clear us out. It starts to clean us out. It's, as I say, it's like a chemical reaction. And when we have this chemical reaction, we start to get more purer and more purer, and all our old characteristics start to change. All the things about being selfish, being greedy, being mindless, being unkind, uncaring, looking after me, I. All of a sudden, all these characteristics start to change as we start to purify ourselves. And we become much clearer and cleaner in our mind and our physical and physiological and energetic levels. And as we get clearer and clearer, something very, 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 very beautiful happens. And this is what I'm going to explain in this final video, how transformative it becomes and how we can finally possibly get closer to seeing and hearing and feeling the Lord. Last video, we're grimy, but the more we start to chant, the more we start to read, The more we serve the Lord, you can serve him in the goshta, looking after the cows. You can come into the deity kitchens and cook or clean. You can make garlands for the deities. There's so many different ways we can serve the Lord. But each way we serve the Lord takes us through a purification process until we become cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and clearer and clearer. And each stage of process we go on, where we become a better version of ourselves, reveals more of the Lord. And therefore we start to see more signposts. We're more aware of his role in our life. He's there, as I said to you before, in our paratma. He's guiding us. He's teaching us. He's caring for us. And all he wants to do is help us to become a more purified being. And the more purified being we become, the better person we become. You see, if we can be more selfless than selfish, that's beautiful. If we become more kindful rather than kindless, again, that's beautiful. If we become more mindful than mindless, again, that's very, very beautiful. If we become more giving than taking. All these qualities is what part of the process of purification, and each stage of this purification takes us that little closer to the Lord, because as he sees us purifying ourselves, he starts to reveal more and more and more and more, and all of a sudden we can see things and hear things and feel things that we wouldn't be able to see, hear or feel or experience in the past, because we've been too contaminated. And it's very, very beautiful. And that is why, as I was saying to you before, using different adages, there's a difference between someone who is an amateur and someone who's very, very proficient at doing a skill in their life, because they have a certain ability. And in this case, by us going through the process of purification, detoxification and decontamination, we purify our soul, we purify our mind, we purify our thoughts, we purify our actions, we purify what we eat, what we say, where we go, and who we take association with. And then all of a sudden we're gaining this relationship which is more personal and intimate with the Lord. And then maybe if we're fortunate enough, the Lord will start to reveal more to us and more to us and more to us. And it's very, 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 very beautiful. So I say to you, are you ready to decontaminate yourself? Are you ready to detoxify? And are you ready to see whether you have a beautiful innate connection with the Lord?